everybody, welcome back to my video talking about Amway and Worldwide Dream Builders. I wanted to make a separate video because I wanted to talk specifically about the board plan and what happens in the board plan. And so the board plan is basically after you've already been reached out to by the person who wants to sponsor you and make you a part of their downline, then they have a few meetings with you where they kind of gauge where you are, and they tell you all these amazing things about Amway and financial freedom and how amazing your life is going to be if you join this. And they always have a mentor where they just build up this mentor, and it's usually a couple. And I'm saying this because I found this YouTube channel called Reeves, and she had been in Amway for 6 months, and she talked about all the board plans she went through and like what she was going through. So she has told me, she has said in her videos that it's usually a couple, and they are usually built up to be like this amazing pair of people who are doing these amazing things, and they have all this money. So the people who I was told about, they were also built up kind of like celebrities, like amazing people. I was told that one of them had spoken at conferences with thousands of people, even though I couldn't find any information or records of those conferences. So I'm pretty sure it was just that they spoke at a Worldwide Dream Builders event. But they were built up to be these amazing people who like really changed this person's life and who was going to change my life through their mentorship. And the whole thing is for me to earn the opportunity to mentor with them through Amway and Worldwide Dream Builders. So Martha Reeves did have a video that she did about the board plan. I took a lot of notes from her video, and I took a lot of notes from when I was actually going through the board plan. So I need you to make up your mind about what you're doing here. Thank you. So I just wanted to talk about, first I'm going to talk about some of the things that Martha said in her video that I had to write down to look out for in the board plan. And then I'm going to go into the major part of the video, which is everything that actually happened. And this might be a long video because I took a lot of notes, but I really, really wanted to hammer down what happened, because this board plan is supposed to be like this big amazing thing that is supposed to change your life, and it had the opposite effect on me. I don't know why. Maybe it's because even though I was falling for the shit, I still had some bullshit detectors on where I was like, like I was catching things other people weren't catching. So one of the things that Martha said in her video about board plans, they are usually 8 to 10 p.m. That's like a standard thing, which she thinks is ridiculous, and I agree it's ridiculous, because if you are only working 15 to 20 hours a week and you have like all of this free time to do whatever you want, why do you have to have these meetings so late? You can have these meetings at any time on any day that you want to. But you don't work for Amway, you don't work for Worldwide Dream Builders. You're retired. That's the thing too, is like they retired in their 20s. So they really could choose when they wanted to do this, because it's supposed to be out the kindness of their heart, but they're locked into what Worldwide tells them they have to do. So I was told that they were just gonna share their story, and that they were, gonna talk about what they went through and how Worldwide has helped them. And the reason that I wanted to watch Martha's video beforehand was because I wanted to see how much of this was scripted and how much of this was real. Like, because if you're just sharing your story, it should be completely different from any other board plan that anybody has had, because it's your story, and you are a unique person. But if you say a lot of things that are the exact same things being said in other board plans with other people who aren't you, who are not even part of your team, then that tells me that you're being, I'm not gonna say fake, that's kind of mean, but you're not being real. So I was told that this was my opportunity to shine. This was my opportunity to stand out. I had to, because I was going to be on camera, I had to make sure that I was seen taking notes. I had to make sure that I looked professional, that I had a professional top on. I had to make sure that once everything was over that I had questions to ask, because I had to stand out, because at the end of the day, it was up to those mentors to decide if they wanted to work with me. So I had to prove myself as worthy of their attention. So I'm going to talk about some of the things that I wrote down in my notes that really stuck out to me. So the first thing that happened was the person who was hosting the board meeting was the woman who would be my sponsor, the woman who had reached out to me. And then the speakers were her mentors. Now, if you're curious about the sponsor mentorship, I was really confused about it too. So a sponsor, I guess, is like the first level where you kind of just started out and you're getting people under you. You're growing a downline, but you don't really have the skills yet. You're not that charismatic yet. You haven't made a lot of money yet. So you're kind of just, benefiting off the people under you, but you aren't actually doing that work that you promised of like the mentorship. You're not a mentor. So the person who had brought me in was not a mentor. They were just the person who bring me in, and their mentors were going to be the ones to mentor me. And so it goes sponsor, coach. I'm not entirely sure what a coach does, but I guess once you make a certain amount of money, you gain some kind of legitimacy to be a coach. And then mentors, when you're the actual people who are speaking at board plans and actually like training people and doing their budgeting, and they're talking to you every single day and you're making sure that they're doing everything right. So these people were mentor level. These people were a married couple who had retired at the age of in their late 20s. I'm going to say that instead of giving too many details about them. But they retired in their late 20s. Basically, they don't have any kids. So that's their thing. They're a young couple who retired early, and now they're talking to us about how to do the same. The makeup of the people in the board plan, it was about 15 to 20 people. It was the person who would be my sponsor, the two mentors, and there was several other people there who were sponsors as well, who were single people of different races. You had white people, Asian people. There was a couple black people. There was a guy who I think he might have been African, because he had a very African name. And there was, of all the people there was only one couple. Everyone else there was either single or they were in a relationship, but they showed up to the meeting by themselves. And what I learned from Martha Reeves' channel is that a lot of people that Worldwide tries to pander to are couples, which I think is a little strange. And I'm going to talk about that later on when I talk about my conversation with my would-be sponsor after the board plan. But the primary target of a lot of things they say is couples. But everyone there was people around my age in their 20s, and they were single except for that one couple that was there. So one of the things that I thought was interesting that came up in Martha's video that also came up in this board plan was the idea of being a full-time partner and a full-time parent. And basically the idea behind that is if you have a 9-to-5 job and you're in a relationship or you have kids, that means you are full-time in that job, and then you are part-time in your relationships. So if you're married but you have a job, you're only a part-time spouse. If you have kids but you have a job, you're only a part-time parent. And that didn't make much sense to me, because I'm like, well, if I work during the day, during the time that my kids are at school, and when my kids get out of school, I'm with them, and then I'm off on the weekends, then I'm with them at any point in time that I could be with them, unless you want me to just take them out of school and homeschool them. I don't understand. So I kind of understood the whole full-time marriage thing, because this was a couple who both said that they were working 70 hours a week and they were barely spending any time together, and their relationship was suffering. And now that they only work 15 to 20 hours a week and they're retired, they can spend more time together. I get that. But here's the thing that got me, was that when she's talking about a full-time parent, the wife was the first one to speak. When the wife was talking about full-time parents, she straight up said, let me make sure, let me see if I wrote this down here. Let's see here. I don't think I wrote it down, but I remember exactly what she said, because it offended me so much. She said, if you are only a part-time parent, you are a failure as a parent. And this really got me because in Martha's video, she talks about how, you know, they kind of alluded to these kind of ideas with the whole part-time, full-time thing, and people were falling for it. They were cheering. They were like, yeah, you're right. And she didn't realize until later how insulting it was. This woman was very direct when she said, if you are only a part-time parent, you a failure as a parent. If you have a 9-to-5 job and you have a kid, you're a failure as a parent. If you don't do worldwide dream builders and do what we do and join us and listen to us and follow everything we tell you to do so that you can make a lot of money, and then we make a lot of money off of you, you a failure as a parent. Nobody there had kids. The couple themselves did not have kids. Even when people were being introduced at the beginning, they mentioned how a lot of people were single because a lot of us were in our 20s. Who is that for? What was the purpose of saying you are a failure as a parent? Do you know how insulting and degrading that is to say to someone, and you don't even have any fucking kids yourself? What does your opinion even matter what someone does with their child and you ain't got kids? Why would you say that? And I thought it was really, really disrespectful, and I felt really insulted that she just thought she could talk to us like that. And she, you know, and my sponsor was friends with her before she joined Amway and Worldwide, and I'm sure that they had a great relationship, and I'm sure she might have been a nice person. But what I saw in that board plan was not a nice person, because she was very, very aggressive. And in some areas, I think she was just being strong. And I was like, you know, it's just fine to be a strong woman. But in other areas, I was like, you're being mean now. You're really just being mean to people who you are about to work with. And she very much had this air, even though it was so contradictory the way that they presented themselves. Because when they first come out, she's like, oh, I'm just an average person. I'm normal, just like you. I like to do all these things and have fun and blah, 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 blah. I would see moments where she would slip into the mode of, no, I'm better than you. And I say that because she would have moments where she would say, I'm not here to convince you about anything. You know, you here to prove yourself to me. You know, this is for me to see if I want to even waste my time with you. And she did say the words, waste my time. She's like, I'm not going to waste my time with you and you're not 100% committed. And I'm not going to convince you. If you're 95% committed, I'm not going to convince you. I'm here to determine whether or not I want to work with you, which is not what my would-be sponsor told me. My would-be sponsor was like, this is your opportunity to see if you want to work with them, for them to see if they want to work with you, because you can like someone as a person, but not professionally. And that was a nice thing to say. I was like, yeah, that's just how interviews are. You want to see if you want to work with them. They want to see if they want to work with you. No, the power balance when this woman was talking was completely different. This is, I'm up here, you're down here, and you are here to prove whether or not I am willing to come down here to pull you up. That's how she was coming across. And I found it to be really, really insulting. Oh, yes. She did say the words, you should be grateful that you are here today, that we are even talking to you about this business. You should be grateful. And I wrote that down. I was like, oh, I should be grateful. Okay. Then another thing was talking about the whole part-time, full-time. And apparently it's like, you can do the business part-time, but you really need to do it full-time. Because then you can get to a point where you can only do it part-time. When you start off, you have to be full-time, you have to work your ass off, and all of this. But what they had presented in the beginning was, well, we only work 15, 20 hours a week, and then we go off and do whatever. Even at our most busy time, we're only working 15, 20 hours a week. And that's just if we decide to, because, you know, we're retired, so we're working, but we're retired, so whatever. And something that it made me think of that was interesting, because in Martha's video, she talks about how this really consumed so much of her and her husband's time. And so it wasn't until after they left that they realized that they had more time to spend with their children, which I feel is very disrespectful for you to say, If you don't do this, if you don't join Worldwide Dream Builders, and if you don't do all the things that we tell you to do, you're a failure as a parent. Meanwhile, doing what we tell you to do is making you spend less time with your actual family. That's fucked up. That's fucked up. She talked about something that I also found was a very common thing that people in Worldwide and Amway talk about. I found some people who were involved, and it's really hard to find people who are actually involved in this way. It's very secretive. It's like only people who are already inside the organization know who's inside the organization, and they get to have these meetings that are invite only. So when I'm researching people who work at Amway or who work with Worldwide, I can't find them. But if I get somebody who is in it to drop a name and I look that person up, all I'll find about them is that they're an entrepreneur. Look how nice their life is now. It won't say that they did it through Worldwide. It won't say that they did it through Amway. If Amway works, if Worldwide works and is so amazing and it's like changed your life and some of these people are millionaires, why wouldn't you have something out in the public where you're telling everybody, hey, you need to join Amway? You're not doing that because you want people to join specifically in your downline to make sure you are profiting off them. Because if people just go and join Amway and Worldwide willy-nilly with anybody who's available, you're not going to make anything off of that. And it's more advantageous if they join someone in your downline so that that person can go through the work of training them and putting them through the process so that they can make you money. Because you don't want to have to spend your time mentoring people anymore. No, you're busy being retired, so I thought it was very interesting to me how secretive everything was. But one of the things that I noticed from the people who did talk about why Worldwide and Amway was good was that they talked about how capitalism sucks. They were like, the society has lied to you, thinking that, you just got to work hard and labor and you'll be fine. And then you can be a millionaire when you're 65, but I want to be a millionaire now, or I don't want to waste my 50 years at a job just so I can retire when I'm 65, 70. I want to take back my time and I want to be able to do what I want to do and still make the money to support me doing what I want to do. So that's what a lot of the people say is, take back your time, because, don't just trade your time for money. Do this process so that you can spend a lot of your time doing whatever you want to do while also still making money, which is still capitalism, because the whole thing is to have people working under you, making the money for you. It's just you're going about it in a different way. Like the original way would be to either buy a company or to level up in a company until you become like a CEO or something, and then you just have people working under you. But this way, you convince people that working for you is actually working for themselves, so they work harder, and you rake in all the money, not all the money, but you get a certain amount of money off of them, and you get to retire and live your life, and you promise them that if they get a certain amount of people under them, they get to retire and live their life. Because another thing that they argue, because they're like, this isn't a pyramid scheme, because someone in your downline can make more money than you. And the reason that is because if you have 15 people in your downline, but someone in your downline has 20 people in their downline, naturally they're just going to make more money because they have more people in their downline. So then they're like, well, what other system do you know where the person under you can make more than you? Still, the person under you is not making more than you. Like, let's be real. It's not happening, because everything they're doing is really just boosting you up. And as long as you keep recruiting more people to be under you, especially if you have like a mentor who's willing to mentor the people under you, so you don't even have to do the work of mentoring these people or really training these people, you just got to convince them to sign up, you're still going to make more money than the people under you. And there was no way, they gave me no type of example of someone who actually did that where their downline made more money than them. They had no real world examples. Of all the millions of people in Worldwide, in Amway, they had no real world examples of anybody who actually did that. They was just saying that it was possible, and that's how you know that you're not getting scammed. And though it may not be a scam, it ain't super legit. Like, I mean, it's legal, but it's not super legit. And so that was another thing that the woman who was one of the speakers talked about, was just like, you know, I've been lied to. I was told that, you know, you go to college and you get into student loan debt, and then you get a job to pay off your debt, and then you work the job for 50 years, and then you retire, and now you get to live your life. But I want to live my life now. I get that. I really do. College, being in student loan debt sucks. Going to college and not getting the type of degree that's going to give you money sucks. But that doesn't mean that Worldwide Dream Builders and Amway is the answer. But they present it like that's the answer. Like, you don't want to be stuck in the cycle of go to work, go to school, get in debt, get a job to pay off your debt from going to school, or go and get another degree just so you can make a little bit more money, and then just the whole rat race. We all hate the rat race. We all hate capitalism. We wish companies valued their employees more. We wish companies offered their employees more work-life balance. We wish companies offered their employees more incentives. We wish they cared more about their employees, but they don't. And there are ways we can change that. Joining an MLM is not the way for everyone. And another thing that they talked about as a couple was that they had just one day decided that they wanted to retire by 30, and it didn't matter how they did it. And so they joined Worldwide, and then they made all this money, and now they get to retire by 30. That was their one goal. They didn't care about anything else. They were like, we're retiring at 30. So, you know, congratulations on accomplishing your goal, technically, kind of, because you're still working for Worldwide Dream Builders and Amway, because you still have to come and train people and do board meetings and go to all these, like, Amway meetings and stuff. But, you know, I mean, if it is true, because I don't know them, if it is true that this is only a part-time job for them and they can 15 hours a week and they're done, and then the rest of the time they can go traveling and do whatever they want, and they're making all this money, that's fine. That's good for them. I don't think it would be so good for me. I don't think that it would work for me as well as it worked for them. So I just had a lot of doubts, and I'm like making sure my face looks right while I'm sitting here on camera, like taking, not now, say, get down, let go of me, let go of me. But I'm just like writing notes very like feverishly, and I'm like making sure that my face doesn't look a certain way, because I have a face that just tells people that I'm not here with you. I'm not, because everybody else was just like, yeah, and I'm just like, okay, yeah, so you say that. Then we get to the thing where I started writing like crazy. Like, I just started taking so many notes because the husband came out. And the husband, they said that the husband was like a prime example of how anyone could do this, because he was a very introverted person, and he's just not the type of guy who would ever think that they could join an MLM, because he was very introverted. He was very reserved, quiet. Like, even the way he talked, like, it was obvious that his wife was a very strong personality and he was a very soft personality. And, you know, I didn't really have anything against him, but he came in to talk about the compensation plan. And as he's writing out the little thing with the stick figures, and it's like, here is you, and here is your downline, and if you have 12 people under you, and each person has this, and each person makes this amount of money in sales, and you make this amount of money in sales, and then you can get this amount. Like, he broke down all the compensation stuff. But when he started breaking down the downline, he drew a triangle around the downline, and this motherfucker said, and then you have a nice little Dorito. And I'm sitting here like, you mean a pyramid? Because that's a pyramid, sir. Saying a Dorito is not going to get you away from it being a pyramid. You know, I'm not calling this a pyramid scheme, but I'm just saying, like, just, you know, call it what it is. This is how the situation works. Multi-level marketing works the same way as a pyramid scheme, except for the fact that multi-level marketing actually has a product. So don't dance around it. Oh, also, they never wanted to use the word MLM or multi-level marketing during this entire thing. They only said network marketing, and then they, said business, your own business, whatever. So very, very careful with their words. Oh yeah, I noticed that. I noticed everything they were saying. But once he started talking, this was the part that Martha touched on a bit in her video, where she was talking about how they, say, don't look stuff up online, come to us with your questions. She said that in a very nice way. The way that this couple said it in the board meeting was basically like, they started with like, oh, there's a lot of misinformation on the internet. But then they started blatantly like insulting anyone who wanted to look anything up on the internet. Like they literally compared, I'm gonna say us, because I look stuff up on the internet. So this was an attack on me and anybody else who did what I did as far as researching this company before they started. They literally said the words, children look stuff up online. So they compared us to children. So that was another insult to add to it. They talked about how all these articles are by all these articles are by failed business owners. They're people who are just salty because they failed and they want everybody else to quit and give up too. And then he also made it seem like we were looking up and trusting not worthy news sources. Like we were looking at, he made it seem like we were on Pinterest and Facebook and we were looking at blogs and we were taking what those people said as facts as opposed to what was real. But I'm sitting here like, no, because it was the LA Times that talked about, Amway being sued because they were lying about how much money they said people could actually make from 2007 to 2010. And then it was like the New York Post and like all of these other reputable news sources who were talking about the fact that Amway is being sued actively right now this year about the fact that so many people have put so much money into the organization and they spend so much time working for the organization that they want to be considered employees and get those benefits, since they're spending the majority of their time working for Amway trying to make this work. So no, I wasn't just reading blogs from random people on the internet or random people on forums. That's not what I was doing. Now, did I go and look at some things to get people's experiences? Yes. But I also was on Amway website and Worldwide Dream Builders website, and I was looking at the stats and the compensation plans that they posted themselves. So don't call me stupid, okay? Because I went to college. I know how to think critically. I know how to look up sources and figure out who they came from and what was the agenda of the person who wrote the article. I know how to do all of that. So don't sit there and call me stupid, because I'm not, okay? And then the other people that were there was just eating it all up. They were just like, yeah, children look stuff up online. No, we don't believe the internet. We only believe you. And I'm like, I don't know you. I don't know you. This is the first time we've met and we haven't even spoken to each other directly yet. You just seeing me on the screen. Why would I believe you over the stuff that I read on the internet and then they also talk about, don't go asking your mom either about what she thinks about the company, about what she heard about the company 40 years ago, because they don't know. Don't talk to your family. Don't listen to them. Listen to us. You is not about to outweigh the opinions of my mentors and my friends and my family members who've known about this company and had experience with it. You not. You ain't my mama. I already have a mentor, and she's amazing and very intelligent and wise. And she was very kind to me about it. She was just like, make sure you do your research, because she respects me and understands that I am capable of differentiating between what is fact and fiction. So I'm not about to listen to y'all who I haven't met yet officially over people who I've known for years, who I trust. I don't trust you. I don't know you. I didn't even have your last name until you introduced yourself. Because what I had to do was, in order even to find information about these people, I had to go searching through the internet, spelling their names all kinds of ways till I could find information about them. And even then, all I found was one person's LinkedIn, which said nothing, surprisingly, which said nothing about Amway or Worldwide. It just said that they was working, they owned their own business, and that was it. But I'm like, it was so insulting for you to make fun of my intelligence like that, to think that I just believe anything that I see online. That was disrespectful. And that was just a whole big thing, is like, you know, don't trust anybody else. Just trust us. If you have questions, come directly to us. Don't try to figure out anything on your own. Don't try to learn anything on your own. Come to us. Don't listen to anybody but us. And then they was like, you know, people judged us. People questioned us when we started. They told us we were stupid. They said we were being scammed. And now we're making all this money, and they're acting like they never said it before. You know, they taking it all back because they see how successful we are. And I'm like, again, good for you. How can I believe any of that, though? I don't know you. You know what I mean? So they were saying all of this, but they weren't answering my questions. I was promised that my questions would be answered. They wasn't answering my questions. Instead, all they've done since they started was say a little bit about, you know, oh, our life was so awful before we started doing this. And then it goes into, you're a failure as a parent if you work a regular job. You stupid, you're a child if you want to look online about Amway and Worldwide, and instead of listening to us. Some other things that they said, like she literally said, she said, don't waste my time because I'm the one that has results. I don't want to hear you talking about anything negative that you heard about it, because I'm the one with the results. So you should listen to me because I'm the one who's actually making money off of this. They said phrases like, we need to teach you how to think. Verbatim, I wrote it down. We need to teach you how to think, because apparently I don't know how to think. I'm a grown ass woman who went to college, who did research, who wrote research papers, who has a degree, and I don't know how to think. I didn't know that. I thought I've been thinking this whole damn time. You need to teach me how to think. What the fuck does that even mean? She didn't really explain it, but I'm guessing it has something to do with training my brain. Notice how I'm avoiding a certain word here. Training my brain to ignore the negative, right? To ignore anything anyone says to me in the family, to ignore anything anyone says online, to ignore anything that news sources say. I have to train my brain to ignore all of that and to only listen and to only believe what my mentors say. That's how they teach me how to think. They said, we're going to teach you delayed gratification. I don't know why you assumed I didn't have that. I do delayed gratification all the time. That's why I'm able to save money. I know how to say no to going out with my friends or going out with my family if I don't have the money. I know how to budget and say, I can't buy this new thing on Amazon because I have to pay my bills. I know how to do those things. That's why. And the person who was going to be my sponsor, she told me, she was like, I like that you know how to do these things and you're so intelligent. And so I like that you're like this, because that tells me you're going to be great at this business. So this tells me that when she approached them, I can only assume what happened. When she approached them about getting me a seat, getting me an invite to this, she didn't say anything about me. She just said, you know, I have this person, I want them to have a link to the thing. Okay, I'm gonna send them a link. Boom, bam, that's our guest list for this week. Because even though, I mean, I wasn't the only person there, I just felt like they could have been a bit nicer. I don't understand why they didn't want to be nice. I don't understand why they felt like they had to shame us and demean us when a lot of the people who were there, who weren't sponsors or coaches or whatever, seemed like they were already on board. You know, like they were so eager. They were so eager to be picked, you know, by these two amazing people who had done all of these things that they wanted to do. They were so eager. They were laughing at every joke. They were smiling. They were clapping. Like, you already had them. What is the point of putting them down? You know, that didn't make no sense to me. Another thing that she talked about was the idea of winners and losers. And it's so interesting when people do this kind of thing where they're like, there's two types of people. There's winners and losers. Not saying you're a loser, but if you're not doing this, then you ain't a winner, you know. And I'm like, so you're saying that I'm a loser unless I do this. So let's go back through the insults. If I had kids, I'm a failure as a parent. I am a child, not smart, don't know how to think, don't know how to control myself, don't know delayed gratification, believe I'm gullible, I believe anything that I read on the internet, and now I'm a loser if I don't believe everything you say and join under you in Worldwide Dream Builders. I was not feeling the attacks here. I was really not feeling the attacks. And then I was waiting, cause like the wife talked all this stuff. And then she was like, my husband's gonna come out and he's gonna tell you all the practical stuff. Husband came out and he didn't really say nothing practical other than breaking down the compensation plan. And I'm sitting here still waiting to get my answers about the actual business. Like, you telling me you're hyping, you're saying you're not going to hype me up while you're also hyping me up. You're hyping me up about the lifestyle I can have and all that stuff. I want to know about the products, about selling the products, about how you're going to gain a consumer base, how you're going to recruit people if you have to, if it's absolutely necessary to recruit people. How do I do this in a way that I don't feel gross about it? I want to know about all of that. You ain't giving me none of that. I was promised answers to my questions, and I did not get those answers. And then they even said, we're not going to talk to you about Amway. We're not going to talk to you about products because honestly, it's just so simple. It's so simple. It's so easy. Anybody can do it. We're not going to talk about that because it's just too easy. We don't even need to talk about it. It's too easy. It's too easy. That's why the majority of people fail, right? Because it's just too easy, you know. And like they even mentioned that some people fail because they don't want to do the first step. The first step is usually reading a book like Who Moved My Cheese or Rich Dad, Poor Dad. The group Martha was in they read Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I was told to read Who Moved My Cheese. So they literally was like, some people fail at this because they're not even willing to read a book. Because and they didn't say this, but the implication of they failed because they wouldn't read a book. The implication of that is you're so stupid, you can't even read a book. Like, that's all you have to do is read a book to be successful, to retire early and build long-term wealth and financial freedom. And you can't do that because you're so lazy and stupid. No. Another thing that was their big thing was, and this is what I think I heard in Martha's video too, that I was given this by my sponsor, and then I was told this by the mentors at the board plan. We don't care about Amway. We don't care about Worldwide Dream Builders. It's not about them. It's not about them. It's about us taking control of our life and taking control of our time and accomplishing our dreams and all of that stuff. That's what it's about. It's about us having the money to do this, but it's not about the money. But you know, now that I have the money, I can do all my hobbies and have a good life, and live comfortably and be happy and all of that. It's not even about, and like don't even worry about Amway. It's really about this mentorship opportunity. You know, we're gonna change your life. Don't worry about how you're actually gonna do it. Don't worry about how you're gonna do selling the products or getting people to sign up under you and all that stuff. Oh, that'll come. We'll teach you how to do that. Don't worry about it now. Oh, it's okay if you're not comfortable talking to people. We'll teach you how to do it. Oh, or we'll do it for you. It's gonna be so easy. It's gonna be so easy that you won't believe how easy it is to make all you gotta do is read a book. That's all you have to do. Because it's so simple. The selling products, don't worry about it. Getting people under you, don't worry about it. I mean, is that the core of the compensation plan? Yes, but don't worry about it. You know, we're really just trying to talk to you right now about our dreams and like what our why is, like what it means to us to have financial freedom. And of course, she said her why is faith and family and adventure and travel and all these fun things that everybody cares about, family and traveling and, you know, the universal things that are supposed to reach out to everybody. She said a thing that was really interesting. She said she wanted to retire her parents, which is really interesting because that's also something that my would-be sponsor said to me. And I mean, I get it. Some people are like, you know, they want to help their parents out and stuff. It just seemed interesting that it was just this kind of throwaway line that was just kind of thrown out there when both of them said it to me at different points. And I was just like, I wonder if this is part of the script. Because, I mean, my idea of making a lot of money is really to retire early and then pursue my passions. I don't really need to retire my parents. I don't need to be paying for their retirement while also saving for my retirement and then saving for college for the younger people in my family who I care about. That's a lot. That's a lot to put on myself. I ain't doing it. I'm sorry. You might think I'm a bad daughter. I'm not retiring my parents. They're retiring themselves. Then she went back to the kids. It's because she's talking about her why. She's talking about how she wants to travel with her kids. She doesn't want somebody else raising her kid. You know, so that's coming back to the whole, you know what? I haven't said in a minute. I haven't bullied you about parenting in a minute. So let me come back to the parenting thing. You know, I don't have kids, but I don't want somebody else raising my kids, you know, like, oh, them going to school, having a babysitter. That's so terrible when you need to be the one spending time with your kids and traveling with them and taking them all these places, which was so interesting that they said that. Because again, they don't have kids. So it's so interesting that they were so passionate about that topic, because when I listened to other people who work with Worldwide doing their speech, that's what they say. They say, I want to travel with my kids. I don't want someone else raising my kids. I want to be a full-time parent. Oh, my kid's school gets mad because I take them out of school to go travel in Dubai, you know, because we're just so rich. And, you know, school's stupid anyway. You don't really learn anything, you know. They learn more traveling to other countries with me than they do in school. You know what? I just buy the school. It's no big deal. We don't have to worry about anything. We have all this money now that Worldwide made us. Another thing, and again, the wife is doing a lot of the talking, but another thing that the wife talked about was how, you know, she's not chained to a job and she's not slave to a traditional job. And if she wants a raise, she could just work harder and give herself a raise and all of those different things. And I'm not totally sure how that worked. They never explained how that works, considering your money comes from other people's efforts. So I don't know how you could get a raise. But another thing that she brought up, because this was something that my sponsor had dropped on me before we had the board plan, was buying your own products. So they have this idea that sounds like just like, I don't know a good way to say it, but they had this idea of like, you know, you go to work, you get your money, you take your money, you go to Target. They always say Target. This is mostly white people, by the way. They always say Target. You go to work, you go to work, you get your money, you go to Target, and then you spend your money, and then you get a thing, and then you use the thing, and then you have to go to work and get more money so you can shop at Target more. But if you were an Amway distributor, you could just buy from yourself. So if you just bought Amway products instead of buying Target or Amazon or Walmart products, you could get paid to buy from yourself because it's your store. And I didn't fully understand all of that, because and they were like, oh, you have to shift your thinking, you know, you have to get away from your brand loyalty, you know, because Amway toothpaste is just as good as Colgate, you know. Amway's got really good products, which I did see in my research that Amway had good products, which is fine. But I buy my stuff like way in advance. Like, it takes me months to go through toothpaste because I just have a stash of toothpaste, I have a stash of toilet paper, I have a stash of paper towels, I have a stash of deodorant. I don't really be running out of stuff, or like I buy something once and then I use it for the month and then I go back. That's really not a thing for me, because I like to buy things when they're on sale to save money. So switching to buying things from Amway, which is going to be more expensive, just so I can get a little bit of commission off of it, was always weird to me. And I'm going to talk about that in the next video, about the idea of buying from your own store.